back to Valda's kitchen. Today we're going to be making ginger banana bread pudding. Come over here and let's get started. So here we have raisins, we have the egg, we have 4 eggs, we have milk, we have melted butter, cherries, banana, ginger, sugar, allspice, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and we have nutmeg. And in the bowl here we have some bread left over from last week, and plus I bought myself a loaf of bread. The buttered bread, I think, which is best, is what I use. Normally my grandmother would use bread that's left over from 2 days ago, and then she'll just put everything in there and just she'll make it, but I went out and bought some bread. So now we're going to start and putting some milk inside the bread so the bread could soak up all the milk and make it nice and soft. This is how we're just going to spread it around. So it'll take a little bit to just soak up. And we're just going to leave that there to soak. So while the bread is soaking, we're going to crush the bananas. We're going to put it in the same bowl where the milk was before, and we're just going to take a whisk and just kind of crush that up. You can use a potato crusher, but I'm going to use a whisk to beat the eggs anyway, so I just use this. Sometimes they get stuck in between. Just, hit it out a little bit and then you'll get to it. Make sure the bananas are really crushed up. It's starting to get into like a liquid form. That's what we're looking for. And that looks like it's crushed good enough. Okay, so we're just gonna press this down, make sure all the bread get in there, stir it up. I like using big bowls and big pots to cook just because it's more room to move around. I grew up in a big family, so my grandmother always used a big pot, nothing small. And if you see that your bread pudding still look kind of dry, you don't want it on the dry side, you want it well soaked, like every nook and cranny soaked in. Just add a little bit more milk. Any kind of I use carnation, half carnation, like a whole can of carnation, and I added a little bit of whole milk to it. And I think we're going to add a little bit more milk to this. So we're just going to add, remember we're going to be putting the eggs and the banana, that will be more liquid in there. So you don't want to add too much of the milk. So you're going to leave it, let it soak in some more. Make sure everything gets in. That looks so good. And let's beat the eggs. We're going to scrape the bananas in here because we're going to use the same bowl to beat the eggs in, because we want to get all that stuff out from in there. I use 4 eggs. I'm going to beat it all up. I'm just going to add this in. I'm going to mix that in. So the bananas are in there and the eggs are in there. I'm just going to stir that in with the bread. We don't add baking powder or yeast to bread pudding because the bread already has that in there. When it's baking, you'll see what I'm talking about. Looks kind of mushy right now, but believe me, the end results. We're gonna add some cinnamon. Vanilla extract. Say about two spoons. A little nutmeg. Not too much. Let's stir that in. It's starting to look like a batter. And people always break their bread apart. That's when it's like really like homemade bread. That's really hard. You break it apart, but this one you don't have to. We're gonna add in some sugar. I'll say about 1.5 cups of sugar. It'll be good for this amount. That should be about it. I don't measure. I measure by sight. That's how I was taught. I'm going to add in some raisins. That's about 1 cup of raisins. And don't forget the butter. It'll be really bad if you forget your butter. It won't come out as moist. I'm going to add some cherries cut up and some ginger. Just add that in there. The ginger gives it a really good smell. It's so good with ginger. Everything is good with ginger. And ginger is good for you. And cherry seems to give it a nice color as well. So while it's mixing, we should have we preset our oven to 350. And like I said, I taste everything. So I just taste just the juice to make sure. Enough sugar, enough ginger, enough vanilla, everything. It seems to be fine. So we're just going to use a spatula to start pouring our bread pudding into our greased bowl. Seems our oven is hot and it's waiting for us. You don't want to put too much into the bowl because bread pudding tend to really rise while it's baking. So you want to make sure that you don't put too much. Don't fill it all the way to the top. Leave space for it. I think that's enough. And we're going to stick this into the oven. So now now we have taken the bread pudding out of the oven. It's really hot. It looks good. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. And so we're going to let it cool before we cut into it. Now you know that the bread pudding has cooled just a bit. Is by the look of it, it will drop or sink just a little bit. That puffiness will be gone. Just because we didn't use any yeast, it's not going to stay at that risen stage. So we're going to try and cut into it. It is not completely cooled. It is just, you know, cooled enough where we can just slice into it nicely and steal a bite. So we're going to try it and see. You see the edges are leaving evenly. It's not sticking to the edge because the pan was greased and it's cooked. Still see the steam out there. And you can serve this with ice cream. I'm choosing to put a little bit of whipped cream just on the top. And that's how we can eat our, and that's how we make our bread pudding, ladies and gentlemen. If you do like it, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have a great day. This is Valda's Kitchen.